Hi, it's Grammy. I am going to read you a book today called Caps for Sale. You know this one, I think, but it's kind of a fun one. All right, let's get going. All right, here he is. Look at him. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler, carrying his wares on his back. He carried them up on top of his head. That would be hard, wouldn't it? First, he had his own checked cap right there on the bottom. And then he had a bunch of gray caps, and then a bunch of brown caps, and then a bunch of blue caps. And on the very top, a bunch of red caps. That would be hard to carry all those. He walked up and down the street holding himself very straight so as not to upset the caps. And as he went along, he called, "Caps! Caps are for sale, 50 cents a cap." One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street calling, "Caps! Caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody even wanted a red cap, which I think is sort of hard to believe because a red cap is really cool. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," said he, and he walked out of town, slowly, slowly, so as not to upset his caps. He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. "That's a nice place to rest," thought he. And he sat down very slowly under the tree, and he leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps up on top of his head. Then he put up his hand to feel if they were straight. First his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, and then the red caps up on the very top. They were all there. So he went to sleep. Look at that bright, shiny day. Sometimes that makes you a little sleepy when you're out in the sun, doesn't it? And he slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap. He looked to the right of him, no caps. He looked to the left of him, no caps. He looked in back of him, no caps. And he looked behind the tree, no caps. Do you know where the caps are? Oh dear. Then he looked up into the tree. And what do you think he saw? On every branch sat a monkey, and on every monkey was a gray or brown or blue or a red cap. Oh, can you imagine how mad he was? What's he gonna do now? The peddler looked at the monkeys, and the monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. And finally he spoke to them. "You monkeys, you," he said, shaking a finger at them. "You give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, This made the peddler angry, so he shook both his hands at them and he said, "You monkeys, you giving me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their hands back at him and said, well, now he was really quite angry, and he stamped his foot, and he said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." Well, what do you suppose the monkeys did? Yep, the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him, and then they said, he's not getting very far with this, is he? By the time the peddler was really very, very angry, he stamped both his feet and he shouted, "You monkeys, you must give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped both of their feet back at him and said, those monkeys are just not being very nice, are they? Well, at last, the peddler became so angry that he pulled off his own cap and threw it on the ground and began to walk away. What do you think the monkeys did then? Yep. Then each monkey pulled off his cap, and then what? Oh, all the gray caps and the brown caps and the blue caps and the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head, first his own checked cap, and then the gray caps, and then the brown caps, then the blue caps, and then the red caps on the very top. And slowly, slowly, he walked back into town, calling, "Caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." Well, that's the end.